Like Silent Hill 2 is like baby's first Silent Hill. You said, well, everyone says it's fun with a friend, and that's literally it.
Who talking about they like Resident Evil 5? You're wrong. That game is terrible. It's ass. It's garbage. It's doo-doo. It's that stuff that comes out of your butthole. It's shit. Number 2, it is a garbage game. Stop buying video games on day one. Stop buying them on day one launch, because these games are most likely buggy as all hell.
Rockstar does the same thing where you can, like, Steam, you purchase something on Steam, and then you try to open it, and it's like, oh no, you need this other third-party launcher. And it's like, what? And earlier, in Resident Evil 1, where Chris laughs at Wesker, and Wesker's like, Chris, stop it!
Joined by the illustrious, smart, and laid-back Kelsey Fearless. What is going on, everybody?
What is up, people?
How are y'all today?
What is up?
Yes, I am your favorite friendly neighborhood beard bro, Mr. Kennedy. And I am joined here once again by the illustrious, smart but laid back Kelsey Fearless. How are you today, Miss Lady?
Oh, I am excellent, Ken. How are you today? How are you today?
I'm doing all right. Thank you to everybody that wished me happy birthday on Thursday. Y'all made my day special.
Oh yeah, happy birthday. Did you do anything for that?
No, because I had the toothache from health.
Tricky. Oh right. Yeah, you had the tooth. I remember that.
Yeah, I had my tooth was hurting so damn bad. My jaw was so swollen, and I'm like, man, this is not right.
Ooh.
But
yeah.
It's much better now. The swelling has gone down, and I'm just, because it's infected. That's what it is.
Yeah. Ooh.
But yes, welcome everybody to Hot Takes episode 2. This is gonna be another fun episode for y'all. I got my notes here.
It is.
Kelsey's got her things.
My notes.
Yeah, she's got her things going on there, and I can't wait to hear what she has to say.
Oh man, I got things to say. Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Before we get off to that, how is your Sunday going so far?
My Sunday's going fantastic. Far, it's been rainy. It's been rainy all week, though.
It hasn't been rainy down here, but it's been in terms of weather, like it's been down in like the 50s and the 60s here in Florida.
Ooh, getting chilly for you.
Yeah, which means probably summer's gonna be hell on earth.
Oh God, I'm not ready for summer either.
Yeah,
I'm not ready for summer at all.
Does it get really hot over there?
Oh, it gets really hot. It gets like 40 degrees with 100% humidity. So it's like, yeah, it gets up to like 100, I guess, in Fahrenheit. Can get up around there.
Got you. I get you. Well, let's get this show on the road. First off, I gotta talk about the latest video game news, because that's what we do at the beginning. There's a new game that I've been peeping out, Horizon Forbidden West Complete Edition, that's finally out for PC.
It is finally out for PC, yes.
As of March 21st, it's on Epic and Steam. Why do I keep saying stream? That's a dumb name. I don't know why they came up with that. Like on a side thing here. My Stream Deck, the Elgato Stream Deck, is called the Stream Deck. But when you're looking for stuff, it pops up the Steam Deck, which is the handheld Steam
Deck.
And I'm like,
oh my God.
I'm like, what were they thinking with that name, man?
Right? Yeah, it does sound exactly the same. It does.
Yeah, and I have some upcoming games that I like to try. Now, I don't know if you heard of some of these, but I definitely want to get my hands on Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh, everyone loves that game.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that out. I want to check out Helldivers 2. That looks pretty cool.
That too. That does look fun. That game looks fun.
Tomb Raider 1 through 3, I guess you could say remastered. I do want to get my hands on that and see how that is. Did you get a chance to see the new Alone in the Dark?
I haven't yet. I have been asking people who have played it, but the only people I know have said it was like buggy or something. I don't know. I'd like to play it. I love the old games.
From what I can
I'd like to
see,
play it.
like from what I can see about it, it looks pretty. It looks all right. It's not too bad. They gotta, I don't know. It just kind of looks kind of bland to me, to be honest. But,
Yeah.
I'd like to try it first before I can actually judge it.
Yeah, I like to know what other people think
Yes,
first.
it's
Yeah.
basically a remake of, the first Alone in the Dark. They even got the same dude's name. What's his name? Edward.
Yeah.
But they give you a choice
The
to play.
remake? Yeah.
Yeah, they give you a choice to play as either him or a girl that went with him. And it just looks
Oh.
like, it looks kind of like, I don't know. It just kind of looks bad to me. I'm sorry. I know graphics ain't
Yeah.
everything. And the
Oh,
last,
like graphically wise?
yeah, it just doesn't look. It doesn't really catch my interest. You know what I mean? The combat looks kind of wonky.
Yeah. Yeah. Bad combat I can't do. Can't do.
Yeah, I
Got
don't know.
nostalgia.
And the other game is Dragon Age Dreadwolf, which I can't wait for them to finally announce that.
There's another Dragon Age game coming out finally?
Well, they were working on the final stages when I was working security at EA. They were like not final stages, the early stages of the game.
Oh, that wasn't that long ago, was it?
No,
think so.
I left there. I left there in 2022.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it was like December 2022. They were working on the early stages of that. And we also got games that were finally announced, but still no damn date. I don't understand it. But there's a new clock tower coming up for all the systems.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I knew that. I knew that. Yeah. There's a new clock tower coming out.
Shadow.
Bringing back so many old horrors.
Yeah, they are.
Like,
They definitely are. And I got a problem with that. Not with them bringing back the horrors, but I have a problem with a specific thing. But I'll get to that in a second.
Gotta get to that.
Shadow of the Ninja. That I love ninja games as well too. So I got to get my
I've never
hands
heard
on
of
it.
that game.
Yeah, it's one of those niche titles. A lot of people don't know about it. State of Decay 3.
Yeah.
That's gonna be in a few years.
Ooh. In a few years, okay.
And-
Well,
Yeah, kind of expected that. And Elder Scrolls 6, which I'm gonna definitely get my hands on that. I don't know how long it's gonna take for that. But I gotta talk about this real quick. What is it with these web developers that can't come up with decent names for these games, man? I swear they keep repeating the same title. There are 3 Alone in the Dark games called Alone in the Dark.
yeah.
I don't understand that. There are, let me see. There's Tomb Raider. There's Tomb Raider 1 in 1996, and then there's Tomb Raider 2013.
There's also 2 Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah, that junk is so stupid. You got Mortal Kombat 1 in 1992, and now you got Mortal Kombat 1 that they just came out with. What the hell sense
And
does
don't
that
they
make?
have, like, yeah, it doesn't make much sense at all.
And you got 2 Clock Tower games called Clock Tower.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you have games called Clock Tower. The other thing for me is when the names are 2 different names in North America, like in North America. Like it's different when it's like a Japan name and then whatever. But like that stuff always bothers me too. I have no idea. Like I understand that maybe they're trying not to like take a name that's already been taken, be mistaken. But like whenever people are like, "Oh, I'm playing Siren," and then it's like, "Oh, everyone's like, oh, you're playing Forbidden Siren." I'm like, where is the forbidden? Where are you getting the forbidden from in the title?
I have no
That one
idea.
gets me.
It's really
Yeah,
annoying.
like,
And it's just like with some of these systems. Xbox, I don't know what the hell they were thinking with a lot of this stuff. You had the first Xbox that came out years ago, and then they came out with the Xbox One line.
oh yeah,
So
yeah, the Xbox One.
so when you're talking about which Xbox console you had, you got to be specific. No, the Xbox One S or Xbox One X or whatever the hell. These things sound like Japanese cars to me.
Japanese cars, right? The X, the XS, yeah, I know. It's like, can we just get a new game now? Or a new console now?
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
Yeah, they gotta be better, man. It's bad enough Hollywood is bad. You know, with the ideas they
I
coming
know.
up with. Now we got video games is bleeding into the video game.
Oh, it is. Of course it is. It always does. It always does.
Yes, now.
Xbox One, Series X, Chapter Y, Episode N. Thank you. That's funny.
Yeah, imagine the next Silent Hill is probably just gonna be called Silent Hill.
I guess PT was going to be Silent Hills, so you're not that far off the mark, I guess.
That's dumb as hell. I don't know why. No, I don't know why they do that. Just be more creative, man. And since we're talking about these companies, folks out there, I want y'all to listen to me. Stop buying video games on day one. Stop buying them on day one launch, because these games are most likely buggy as all hell. And you spent $70 on a game that barely works. Companies, y'all need to stop putting out these games that aren't completely working right, man. You got WWE 2K24, which I'm a wrestling fan, but that game is glitched to all hell.
Is it? It's glitchy, That's not acceptable.
I'm that type of guy that likes to wait at least a few months, maybe a year, before I put money down to buy a game or a console or anything, because these companies, they getting too damn comfortable with that stuff. Oh, we'll just put a game out and then we'll just patch it as it goes along. Stop doing that crap. It's like, you know,
and you're paying them. You're paying them to bug test the game. Like, you're paying them to bug test it.
It's like, I mean, that's why they have play testers in there, to make sure that the game works. That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't understand why they do that. And then when they get the backlash from fans, they don't understand why fans are pissed off. I'm like, you putting down $70 on. I remember when Elder Scrolls Skyrim came out and you had dragons flying backwards.
Dragons flying backwards. Oh man. Yeah, a Bethesda game that doesn't have bugs in it is like a rarity too. They need to change the engine they're using though. Like, they've been using the same game engine for years. Years at this point.
That's because they've been milking Elder Scrolls Skyrim for years and years and years. They literally had the same damn game. Like, it was like ever since the PS3, Xbox 360 era, they put that game on every single console.
Right.
And it's like, man, they got to do better with this stuff, man. I tell people, look, I don't buy nothing. I don't care if it just came out. Like, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a damn air fryer. If that junk just came out the same day, I'm not buying it, man.
No, not buying it. No, there's no point. There's no point. Absolutely not. Some games I will buy day one, but very, very rarely. Very rarely. I can't handle a game being buggy as hell, especially on PC where it can be so buggy so many ways.
They couldn't play this stuff back in the day with the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, and Sega Genesis. You had to put out a good product. Now, that doesn't mean that we always got one, because Nintendo has a shitload of bad games. They got some bad games that still give me nightmares from when I was a kid. Friday the 13th comes to mind. But, you know, these companies got too comfortable. You know, I can release a game and then we'll just patch it as it goes along. And it's like, I blame the people for that too, because they keep buying this crap.
Yep. You vote with your wallet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Do.
I'm like, if I had picked up 2K24 and it was buggy like that, because shout out to the Solid Monster, one of my favorite podcasters. He was playing through the game and you had wrestlers like freezing and striking the poles and he's just stuck. He's like, what the hell's going on here? $70.
Right? $70.
If that had happened to me, I would throw that game in the road, get in the car, back over that damn thing. And
like 50 times.
They got to stop doing that crap, man.
Like, they do that. Like, they'll just, like, Pokemon has no quality control. Absolutely none. Like, no quality control at all at this point. They just and there's no excuse. I guess we actually will be getting into Nintendo, but like they put such low effort into everything because they own a monopoly essentially with like handhelds and stuff. I know Steam is trying and all that, but Nintendo has gotten away with selling you just low end crap because yeah, either it's name brand, like it's because of the name brand, or it's just like, well, if you want to play any other games on a handheld, like good luck.
That's
We've
true.
had that for years.
And they come after you even if you try to do emulation. Yo,
Oh, they do.
they
Oh, yes, they do.
they flagged a lot of people's videos and had their accounts deleted and stuff like that because Nintendo's butt hurt like that.
Anything.
If I was a company, I'd be happy that people would be keeping my old games alive.
Right?
Instead of them just going into the dustbin of history. Well, definitely. I mean, that's a great segue too, since we're on the subject of Nintendo. As of April 8th, Nintendo finally shut down its online services for the Wii U and the 3DS. So if you're the type of person that like to play Mario Kart 8, you're shit out of luck. You can't play online.
But I mean, you can at least hack it. And it'll be a lot easier now. That's actually one thing. Because I had a modded 3DS at one point. But because it was still a live service, like, it kept getting taken down and stuff, right? They had to update it. So I guess that's that on that. But I will also be getting into the fact that, yeah, you don't own it anymore. You can't do shit about it.
But I'm surprised that the Wii U, I mean, the 3DS, not really so much because Nintendo tends to do that. But I'm surprised that the Wii U online services was even still up for some of these games.
Sorry, I just said that it's a long lifespan.
Got you. Yeah, I mean, I sometimes I forget the Wii U even exists because that's how poorly it's sold.
It did really bad.
Now, since we're on the subject of Nintendo, there was a way to pull Wii U ROM straight from the store. Really? Don't tell Nintendo that.
Just like an exploit. Yeah, what? Yeah, like an exploit. That's crazy.
Don't tell Nintendo that, man. Emulated next time. Don't be putting that out there. You might log in to Twitch one day and see a Nintendo logo up there. We banned your damn account.
Not the Twitch logo. Oh man, that'd be funny.
But since we're on the subject, let's continue on Nintendo. Nintendo, it's time for a new console. I'm dead serious, man. Y'all been milking the Nintendo Switch for so long now. I know it's only been about 6 years, but we went through
only 6 years.
We went through 2 console generations. Like we had the PS4, we had the Xbox One. Now we got the PS5 and the Xbox Series line. They already talking about the PS6 and the next Xbox console. They can't keep milking the Switch. The Switch specs were outdated when it first came out.
Oh, yeah. Everything's like 720p 30, if that. Like, yeah. That's it. That's what it maxes out at.
It barely runs. It barely runs. It barely runs 720p in some of these games, and you got 1080p with the dock. Now, I like the Nintendo Switch. I do. The whole idea of being able to carry your games on the go with you. But now we have the Steam Deck. We got the Asus handheld. We got the the Google handheld, I think it is. That's a cloud device though. But you have handheld PCs that can do everything that the Switch can do and more. And you got a bunch of Nintendo fans that jump on my case when I say we need a new Nintendo console. But these are the same people that will turn around and bitch and complain when you have game companies coming out with games and they skip over the Switch because the Switch is not powerful enough to run it.
Nope. Absolutely not. Like, I don't know what it is about being really big into Nintendo. Like, these people will be bitching about it, but they went out and they bought it on day one, and then they will say, like, oh, like, Nintendo sold out. What's up, Demon Queen? They'll be like Nintendo like sold out, or like they're screwing us over, and it's like then don't buy it. But they will.
Yeah,
they will continue to.
And I had to listen to this stuff when the Resident Evil 2 remake came out, and Nintendo fans were crying and complaining, well, how come the Switch didn't get a port? Because Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 4, the remakes I'm talking about, there are some PCs that struggle to play that. Imagine with the Switch. Let me tell you something. You remember the game Control that I was playing, right?
Yep.
The Switch struggles to play the cloud version of that game. Literally all the cloud edition, not a physical game.
Really?
It struggles to play that.
Really?
Yeah.
Connectivity must be awful too then.
No, I'm not saying all these things. Yeah, there is a cloud version of Control, and I believe there's a cloud version, I think Resident Evil Revelations 2. But I tried it, and it struggles to play that. And I'm like, I'm not saying that the Switch is bad. I'm not saying it's a bad console. So Nintendo fans, put the torches down. But I'm just saying, it's time to evolve. They, because before that, they milked the Nintendo 3DS for as long as we had the other consoles, the PS3, the Xbox 360. They had the original 3DS. Then they came out with the 3DS XL. Then they came out with the new 3DS XL. Then they came out with the 2DS. And I'm like,
yeah,
dude,
they did.
And it's the same damn console. They're like, that's why I keep saying Nintendo is the Apple of video games. But yes,
right?
So like I said, Nintendo, it's time for something else. Give us a Switch 2, or give us a whatever futuristic name that y'all like to put for these consoles. It's time. I want to see a Nintendo Switch, and they can't blame it on the fact that it's a handheld, because like I said, you got these handheld PCs that people make in their garages that are more powerful than the Switch.
Yeah, really, right?
The PS Vita was the shit. I love that system, man.
It was so good.
And the fact that Sony was so lazy with that console, and they didn't even give it the support that it needed. I loved the Vita. And it's like Sony just gave up. I'm like, come on, man.
They did, and it was good. Same with the PSP. I like that one too.
Yeah, had it not been for Japan, those systems wouldn't have lasted as long as they did, because it was Japan that kept the Vita alive with the games that they kept coming out with the imported games and stuff.
Huh. Wait, there's a Vita BioShock? That's kind of wild.
Yeah, of course. I mean, so everybody's going to get into that. I mean,
yeah.
But yes, my rant is over about Nintendo. I just had to get that off my chest, because I'm just tired of Nintendo always dragging behind when it comes to quality consoles. It didn't used to be like that. When the Nintendo came out, it was revolutionary when the Nintendo came out. Then, but they couldn't milk that, because you had the Sega Genesis that came out. They moved on from their previous console. Now they got the Sega Genesis, is the 16-bit one that had better graphics. Nintendo was like, all right, we got to step it up. So then they came out with the Super Nintendo, one of the best consoles Nintendo has ever made to this day. And I will die on that hill. And that ran its course. Then when you came out with the Sega Saturn, which was a criminally underrated system. I'm not even talking about the 32X, because that was dog shit, and so is the Sega CD. That's just it's the Sega CD was better, but that's just like saying which is better, being shot or stabbed.
Well, there's no competition now. That's why Nintendo can do what they want. There's no competition.
Yeah, but Nintendo still, even back then, okay, we need a new console. So what did they do when the Super Nintendo ran its course? They came out with the Nintendo 64.
Greatest console. They peaked.
and you had the PlayStation going on then, the Sega Saturn going on then, but it when they got past the GameCube, that's when Nintendo started getting lazy
Yeah.
because we moved on to the PS2 era and we moved on to the first Xbox era. Then they came out with the GameCube, and the GameCube is a great system. But then they released the Wii, which has the same specs, pretty much the same specs as the GameCube, just with a gimmick on it.
Yeah. The gimmick, I didn't like it. I couldn't get into the Wii.
Yeah, like I said the last time, I don't want to play no, Cooking Mama and all that crap. I had no interest in any of that Wii Sports or Wii Fit. Like, just take your ass to the gym if you're gonna exercise.
Yeah, I didn't find any use for it. I just didn't like it. I don't like motion controls and stuff. I just didn't like it. Never got into it.
Yeah, I wonder how many people got kicked out of their apartments because their kids was dancing around upstairs to Just Fit and moonwalking across the floor and all that.
Was a gimmick system, and it's like most games were like light gun games, essentially, like, or on rail shooters. Like it wasn't like a gaming console. It was a gimmick system. It was. And yeah, it was fine for like party games, but it wasn't. But yeah, sorry.
I mean, that's true. But even when the Wii came out, the Wii console was outdated. The specs was outdated for that system. Like, look at the memory that they used to have for that. I think it was like 4 gigs of like a SD card. 4 gigs?
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, that's what came on the system. Meanwhile, the PS2 was blowing that console out of the water. Even at that point, when the PS2 is at the end of its life cycle, it was still kicking the Wii's ass. So then we got the Wii U, which I mean was a massive failure. I mean, it was pretty cool. You had the little controller and stuff with the screen. But, after playing it, it's really limited. There's really not much you can do. I'm not going to go through all the specs with it, but it wasn't that much better than the Wii.
No.
So it's like Nintendo's been coasting on this. Well, we'll just come out with a gimmick. And it's fun when you get it. But, like I said, now you got games these games are massively large. They are big games now. Like, there are some games on my hard drive right now that are almost 100 gigabytes.
Oh yeah.
And these
it's true.
It is, and these games are getting graphically more powerful and everything, and the Switch cannot run these games. It just can't.
Nope, it can't. It really can't. It's been like, yeah, look at, like you said, the last best one was GameCube. Like, those were full games. COD is now upwards of 200 gigs. That's crazy. It's crazy nostalgia.
Yeah, and it's like, do you think something like that will run out? Like, I'm like, come on, I'm not bashing the Switch. I hope it's not sounding like that. I'm just being very critical. I'm like, you have to evolve with the times. That's all I'm saying. Because y'all are missing out on money. You think that if you're a game developer and it took you 2-3 years to make a game, do you want to have to go back in there and have to scale this game all the way down just so that it will run on a less powerful console? You have phones. You have phones right now that can run more powerful games than the Switch can. I got my iPhone right over there. Boo. But it is what it is. I got my iPhone right over there, and I'll just throw a game out there, Genshin Impact. My iPhone can run that with no problem, and it looks damn near gorgeous. The Switch can't even run that.
Play that. Yeah. It can't. Really? It can't? Really?
If it could, it would be on it.
That's crazy. They're made by people who have insanely fast internet speed, so they don't kind of think like, okay, maybe downloading 200 gigabytes isn't the best in some areas. And so they don't compress any of their files. So I think it's laziness there. But like, my favorite theory is that they do it so that on consoles, their game will take up the most space, so you don't have space to play that game and a different game, like a competitor's game. I like that theory. I doubt that's true, but that would explain some things if it was.
Well, yeah,
They don't use Valk,
Call of Booty, which I like to call it. I don't like no games like that. They 200 gigs. That's a lot of damn space. Like in this PC here, I have this is 2 terabytes. So I have 1 terabyte of external memory, and then the PC itself has a terabyte. So I'm like, damn, these games are getting bigger and bigger. And I'm like I said, going back to my point, if I'm a game developer, I don't want to go back and have to cut corners to make a shitty looking game just so that the Switch players can be happy.
Yeah, no thanks. Exactly. Like, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. And I think, don't they usually have different, like, censorship requirements? Does Nintendo, they still have that, don't they?
Not much anymore, because you got a game like World War Z that's out there, and I'm surprised that they got that to run on it. Because World War Z is a very powerful game. Like, you got a lot on the screen going there, and the fact that they were able to get that to run, I don't know. Yeah. And I think that, like I said, in a generation where you have, PC is king, so I'm not even going to talk about that. I'm going to put that to the side. But when you have systems that have the capability to run 120 FPS, and you still got the Nintendo Switch that's still running at 30 frames per second, like, come on now. I mean, can you imagine being a Fortnite player on the Switch playing with other people, man? You'd be sitting there waiting for everything to load. Everybody's already out there on the battlefield already.
Oh, you get wrecked. If you're running at 30 FPS, you're going to get wrecked by anyone else.
Yeah. But if you tell Nintendo fans, like I said, that tribalism, man, you got people that, and there's nothing wrong with having your favorite system. I don't, like I said, there are systems that I love to this day. I love the Super Nintendo. I love the Sega Saturn and the Dreamcast, another underrated system. Damn it, Sega.
Yeah.
I gotta put that in there, because if I didn't mention the Dreamcast fans would be like, yo, come on, dude. Yeah, but the Dreamcast, that was kicking Nintendo's ass. And that's the thing. Like, I'm gonna go back to this one thing and then we'll move on. Even back then, Nintendo was kicking and screaming to move on to disc. For games. That's why the Nintendo 64 did not excel as much as the PlayStation did and the Sega Saturn, because they had disc. You can put more things on it. But Nintendo still had cartridges. And what's funny though? Fun fact, Nintendo made the worst mistake twice. Because when the Super Nintendo came out, they were working on a CD attachment for the Super Nintendo, which happened to be Sony. Sony came with them with the idea, and they said, "Let's do this." Nintendo was being too damn greedy. They wanted too much of the revenue coming in. So Sony said, "Whatever." They went on to create the PlayStation. And then they
fumbled.
And then they did it with Sega as well too. Now Sega, when they came out with the Sega CD, that system is straight up the drizzling shits. Like, it's just what it is. But I'm like, come on, Nintendo, you had it. They could have had PlayStation before Sony had PlayStation.
And they fumbled.
They didn't think.
Classic Nintendo.
Well, they thought, they were too scared to get away from cartridges. They were just too afraid to get away from cartridges, and that's why a lot of the ports that they got Resident Evil 2 for the 64, but go back and play that, and then go play the PlayStation version.
It's so compressed. I was actually thinking about Resident Evil 2. It's actually what I was thinking about, the way they had to compress that.
Yep.
Like, oh man, the cutscenes and stuff, like, oh god, they're pixelated.
Well, now, I'm pretty sure I pissed off the whole Nintendo fan base, but that's what I do. Welcome to Mr. Kennedy's world.
Welcome to You're in my world right now.
Yeah, you're in our world right now. And I hope everybody's enjoying it. I hope everybody is enjoying the show because this is the highlight of my month. That and when I could get free donuts.
Free donuts.
Yeah, they got them free donuts over there at Dunkin' Donuts and Krispy Kreme donuts. Y'all haven't lived yet. Y'all haven't lived yet until y'all have some Krispy Kreme donuts, man. Don't go to 7-Eleven and get them dry ass cardboard tasting donuts. You know what I'm talking about? Them donuts that you can drink a whole gallon of milk and choke to death.
Oh yeah, it's just dry. It's like cardboard with dust.
It's disgusting.
Dusted cardboard. Just get Krispy Kreme. We don't have that here.
You wanted to talk about gaming consoles going all digital and your concerns about that. So I'll let you have the floor there.
All right. So it's not even just it's worse on consoles because unlike PC, if you get screwed over, like at least you have options if you own a PC, but I'm going to go on this for gonna go over this one for just consoles at the very least. So like the big thing now is everything's switching to digital. Obviously, it's at this point you go and buy a physical copy. Like there's nothing in it. It's just a code, and it's like, here, input this. Like you don't have that anymore. And I think the worst thing about everything being online now is that when you no longer have access to the service or your account, like you've lost everything. Can't have it. I actually have the so it's in their terms of service. This was a huge thing. No one's reading that. And clause in place to monitor, record, and refer to your voice chat. Yeah. It doesn't surprise me. But the thing is they hide all this in terms of service, right? Obviously, because who's going to who wants to sit and scroll through all of that? The thing is if you don't agree to their terms, whatever you just purchased, you can't use it. It's actually worse with Sony because they don't like Sony doesn't like refunds. And if you open the game, you now can't get a refund. But you open the game and only once you've opened the game do you get to read the terms of service. And then you disagree with what the terms of service, okay, you paid $70 for nothing. Can't get your money back, screw you. And I was looking at this. On just snippets of the terms of service, and two of them that really stood out to me. The first one. This is. I'll read it and I'll explain it after. So this is in their Sony's terms of service, and this is under content license and restrictions, 10.1. It says all intellectual property rights subsisting in PSN content, including all software, data, services, and other content subsisting in or used in connection with PSN, the online ID, and access to content and hardware used in connection with PSN belongs to Sony Entertainment. All right. Its affiliates and its licensors, SE is okay. Use of the term own, ownership, purchase, sale, sold, sell, rent, or buy in this agreement or in connection with PSN content does not mean or imply any transfer of ownership of any content. So that's basically them saying that even though we use the terms like purchase, buy, own, it does, even though they use those terms when they're selling you a product, that they have it in their terms of service, you don't actually own it. Saying that you own something does not mean you actually own it. And that's in everything. That's just in Sony's. Yeah, it's purchase for access. And what, you lose anything. You lose any sort of access, you never owned it. It doesn't matter. So the second one I have that I was looking at is on top of just licensing, it is, yes. Okay, so not only do you not own things, okay, Not only do you not own things, this is the other part of it. This has to do with your PlayStation wallet, right? Your PSN wallet, which you put money in there, right? You put money in there and, use it for whatever, buy anything. 7.3, and this, I'm reading this off, but you must know this is put in all caps. It's under virtual wallet 7.3. It's in all caps. It says funds added to the PSN wallet are non-refundable and non-transferable except where the law requires. We have no obligation to reverse or refund unauthorized charges made using any payment method to fund the wallet. Wallet funds that are deemed abandoned or unused by law will not be returned or restored. So, like, you've just put money up on there, like, screw you. Your money's gone. Your money's gone. Someone buys something unauthorized, screw you. Like, that's somebody taking complete ownership over even just, like, your own money. They don't do refunds. No refunds for you.
So in other words, if somebody hacks into your account and they go on a spending spree, you don't get your money back. You're pretty much screwed.
Yep, you're screwed. Yep, you're screwed.
And that's all kinds of bullshit, man, because it's like they just want to screw you over. And it's like, I think online only games is bullshit as it is. Like, you look at a game like Fortnite, I'm just using that as an example. If you lose your account, they make you jump through hoops to get your account unlocked. Like, you got to go all the way back to the very first purchase that you made in the game. Like, I remember I got banned for some reason. I never did anything illegal, but they banned my account. I had to go into my Xbox and I had to go into Microsoft Live and go all the way down and find the very first card information that I had in the very first purchase for Fortnite in order for them to finally unlock my stuff. And I'm like, they are just making it difficult for you. I'm like, but why would you do that? If you're a company that's about making money, why would you make it difficult to make money? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I have no clue. I have no clue. I just feel bad for people who are on consoles. I really do, because at the very least, if you're on PC, like, I lose access to a game, well, I can go get it by other means. I can go get by other means.
At least with this, okay? At least with that, the only somewhat comforting thing to that is if you buy a game digitally and you still have your account, you can always re-download the game. That's why I love Steam.
Yeah.
I could delete the game and re-download it, like, just because I still have games that I've streamed in the past, like Plague's Tale. I just deleted it to free up space, but it's still there. I can still download it.
Yeah. Even if games get taken off the Steam store, they usually let you, GOG are the heroes, but usually, at least for Steam, if they remove a game from the store, at the very least, you still have it. Like, you still have access to the game. Unless it was pulled for, like, something crazy. I guess delisted is the word. If it's delisted on the store, you still keep it. You still keep it. What was it? Was it The Crew 1 that was just getting shut down, and all these people were, I think that was recently. It was The Crew. I think The Crew 1. And all these people were asking for, like, refunds, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
Like, you no longer have access to this.
And my concern is, like, we're going to get to that point where systems are going to be online only and digital only. And I just don't like that, because I'm the type of guy, I like to have, I mean, of course, funny enough, I'm a PC guy and all my games are digital, but I've always liked to have physical copies of my games. But the reason why, one of the reasons is they can charge you full price for a game that's 20 years old because it's digital.
Yep.
Now, I know they have these sales and stuff like that, but when you have a game, you go on GameStop.com and you see a game that's been out for like 5 years now, and they're still charging $60 for that. And when you have a digital game, one of the reasons why I like having physical games is when I beat a game and I don't want it anymore, I can take it to the pawn shop. I can take it to GameStop or the video game store and trade it in. Ain't nobody gonna take. I mean, there's no such thing as used digital games, anyways. So it's like
exactly.
You stuck with it. And if you have these games that are online only, like let's say Fortnite decides, oh, we're gonna shut down our servers, nobody can play it anymore.
Nope. Exactly. There's so many games that are like that. See, and that's the thing, like sometimes even single player modes for things are gone. Yeah, because they decided to have them on their servers rather than client side. Like that was 12 years ago. Or that whole thing when they shut down games for Windows Live. Does anyone remember games for Windows Live?
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a thing that's been pissing me off too. That I had a little rant. There is no need for us to have these many game launchers. I understand that every company wants to collect your data on their own terms, but it's things like that when launchers are gone, and games for Windows Live was a huge one. Like wasn't needed, but there were so many games that would no longer like properly boot, and then you have to go and like it's almost easier to pirate these games sometimes.
Yeah, tell me about it.
And it is. Yeah.
I got 3 launchers on here. I got Ubisoft because of The Division. I got Epic Games because of Evil Within and stuff like that. Then I got the Steam store itself. I'm like, why do we need all these launchers, man? It's just taking up more space. But apparently you need this stuff to run a lot of the games that I have on here, and it's bullshit.
EA's the worst for it. Honestly, EA's the worst because you can buy a game on Steam, but you still have to go get their EA thing. I think Rockstar does the same thing. Where you can like Steam, you purchase something on Steam and then you try to open it and it's like, oh no, you need this other third-party launcher. And it's like, what? Like what? Ubisoft does that as well? I think so. Okay, yeah. So everyone does it. All right, the framework's confirmed. Everyone does it. Okay.
Yeah, Ubisoft
does it. I hate that.
It.
That's absurd. I guess Ubisoft does it. I didn't know that, but that's. I'm not surprised. Not surprised. Everything has a launcher.
And it's bad enough people South Park themselves every day because they don't read the damn terms and services.
The human centipede.
Yeah, so when y'all end up being a part of that, don't be crying out. Read the damn thing. Read what the hell. Always read. That's something my father taught me. Read everything before you sign it. Cause you mess around, and you buy the next Call of Duty. Next thing you know, they pulling up and pulling your car out the parking lot where you signed your car over to us. People don't even know that.
Nope, absolutely not. It's just, I don't know why everything. It just makes it easy. It's just another barrier for us not owning anything, really.
Yeah, and I told people before. I said, you know what? When I took a look at the Xbox Series S, which is the all digital one, I said that's where consoles are going. Because they have an all-digital version of the PS5. A lot of people they don't really know about that too much, but that's where consoles are going. It's going to be, physical games are going to be phased out, and there's just nothing we can do about it. Now, if you're a PC player, you're right at home with that. But console players may not like that.
Bad day to be a console player.
They may not like that because it's like, I mean, number one, memory. I mean, do you know how much hard drives cost to replace a hard drive for the PS5 or the Xbox Series X? And nobody wants to buy a whole bunch of that stuff just so you can play games.
Yeah, and have to really don't, but you're kind of forced into it. You're kind of forced into it.
Yeah, and it's like now you got, on top of that, since we're on the online thing, now you got all of these subscriptions that they're pushing out for everything.
Yep.
so
Yep.
that they can get extra money out of you. That the nickel and diamond people, oh well, if you want to play this game, you got to sign up for this service.
If you want to play online, you have to pay for it.
Yeah,
that one's diabolical.
They'll do petty stuff. I'm like, look, I already paid for the damn internet. Why do I gotta pay service to play online? That don't make no sense to me.
And honestly, like, I don't even like dedicated servers in multiplayer anymore because it's so easy for people to cheat. Like on PC. Like I hate it. I used to love in multiplayer games when they'd have like community ran servers. So if people were cheating, like they'd just be banned. You know, like you'd go to these game servers, pick up a game, and you'd know like most people who were there, they were like self-regulated, you know, self-policed. And now so many places have gone away with they've gone away with community servers, and it's all just dedicated servers, and there's nothing like there's no point in playing online. There's so many hackers, so many hackers in so many online games at this point.
That is true, and most games don't even have the basic feature. Like if the only way that you can play the game is online with your friends, like whatever happened to just sitting in the same room and just playing two players that way.
I'm right.
They just completely got rid of that. Like you can't even
split screen anymore.
Yeah, you can't even call your friends over. Like remember 007 for the Nintendo 64. They had the split screen. You have 4 players there. Everybody's sitting there eating Cheetos and drinking Sunny Delight and just having a good old time. Now every game is pretty much online. You got to bring your console over there and set up your console and all that stuff. I'm like, why?
There's no point.
I'm like, why do you have to do that?
Just stay home at this point, which I don't know.
And that stuff
it's not the same.
It's just common sense, and it's just things that they just don't do anymore. Let's make it as difficult for these people as we possibly can because we like screwing with people.
True.
And it's like, man.
I don't know.
But yes, that was a great conversation. That was a great hot take.
Yeah. You'll own nothing and you'll like it.
Yep. It's like you will buy our product, but you don't actually own it. Kind of like apartments.
Oh yeah, right. Where everything's rental now. Everything's rental now. It's all a rental culture for everything. You own nothing.
Yep. I always laugh at people that be in an apartment for like 10 years. Like I've lived here for 10 years and I should be treated a certain way. I'm like, you're renting an apartment for 10 years. You don't own it. It's not yours. Like they could literally come in and be like, get the stepping. What you gonna say?
Right? But you know what? They may have been there for that many years, but they're paying half the price of what you're paying.
Yeah, they'd be like, I've been here for 10 years. Well, yeah, thank you for your money. Now get the hell out.
Right.
You know, so, right. Yeah. But you did want to, now let's move on to, because I've been waiting on this one. I want to see what this Silent Hill tier list is.
Oh, my tier list.
I want to see what it is. Now, Kelsey, I'm going to give Kelsey the floor on this because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've only played 3 Silent Hill games. Like, I've only played Silent Hill 3, which is my favorite, with Heather, Cheryl, Alessa, whatever the hell her name is, the Identity Crisis girl that we got in there. I played Book of Memories, which is time in my life I'll never ever get back again. That game absolutely sucks. It's grade A ass. Do not play that game. If you like dungeon crawlers, that's what Book of Memories is for the PS Vita. Don't play it. And then I played Silent Hill 4, which is a steaming pile of dog shit. So Kelsey knows way more about the Silent Hill stuff, so I'm going to give her the floor.
All right. How do we move this? It's my tier list.
We're going to start from the beginning. We're going to give Kelsey, this is her time. This is all her thing. I'm just going to sit back and drink some water.
So first we're starting with Silent Hill 1. To put an S tier. All right. That is S tier for me. Why? because obviously it's oh fucking G. Silent Hill 1 is what Konami saw Capcom doing, and they like took all their rejects. They took all their rejected, all the rejected developers, and they put them on a team, and they're like, do this but better.
Can you imagine that?
Like,
Can you imagine that meeting in the room? It's like, all right, gentlemen, we need a new idea. And we're looking over here,
right?
we're seeing what those fools at Capcom are doing. Anybody got any ideas? Like, well, sir,
Right.
I have seen the Resident Evil series, and I just think
Right.
that we should just copy everything that they do, but do it better.
Like, I had a good take that I heard is that Resident Evil was Japanese developers trying to do American B horror movies, and I like the thought that Silent Hill is also Japanese trying to do like American like horror. Like, it has a lot, like, I can kind of see the similarities between the two.
Well,
With Silent Hill 1,
I mean, Japan does better horror movies than we do. They do better.
Yeah, I know.
They do better American horror movies than we do. So
yeah, I know. Asian horror is superior. It's just so much. They're so much better at psychological horror
Yep.
than in the French.
But yes, you can continue on. That's you. It's all you.
Yeah. All right. So Silent Hill 1, yes. So when I do this tier list, I'm judging it on the writing, the design, the puzzles, and the combat. So the reason why I have Silent Hill 1 in S tier is a lot of the reason I also have Silent Hill 3, and it has to do okay, so we'll start with the writing. The writing in Silent Hill, it's usually good. I would say that Team Silent really, like, their writing across the board is very standard. It's not until it gets to the Western Silent Hills that things really start to take a turn for the worse, thankfully. So they're about, on point. I personally prefer the cult aspect of Silent Hill rather than the it's a repressed memory, the town is punishing you type thing. Like, I'm not a fan of that as much. The James route, the Silent Hill 2 route. I love the cult. I came for a cult horror where so many crazy things can go on because of this child. Like, just summoning gods, like, that's it. I love that, okay? And I absolutely loved the aesthetic. 1 and 3 had it. 4 kind of tried it, but 1 and 3 had that absolute, like, it looked like you were in hell. It was kind of like, if this is what hell would look like, if this was a hospital in hell, this is what it would look like. With all the rust and all the grime and just all that disgust. Like, it just makes your brain go, oh god, this is nasty. Especially just because it's like, I call them puke colors, personally. I call them puke colors, but it's great. Puke, blood, pus, those colors, like, they do it so well. They do it so well. The puzzles in 1 and 3, I'll just kind of do. I'll go whatever. The puzzles in 1, really good. I love them. They're classic Silent Hill puzzles. They really are. They work really well. It's not like you're sitting around, like, okay, in the hard modes later on in other Silent Hill games, yes, the riddles suck. But in Silent Hill 1, the riddles, like, you had to use your brain a little bit. Some of them, the piano puzzle was kind of awful. But other than that, like, the puzzles were great. You felt like a big man when you completed them. Felt like a big man. And combat. So combat felt, for a PlayStation game, Silent Hill 1, the combat felt fine. Had good combat. It had really good combat. It forced you to definitely choose and alternate between using handguns and using melee weapons, right? The downside for that, though, is it's still quite janky. There is a mechanic that is hidden in Silent Hill 1 where your accuracy will change depending on how often you use. Like, it's like a hidden skill meter depending on what you're using. And that really, when you get to certain parts, such as the school is where the combat really, really, really flounders, especially with all those little, like, those little child demons. Like, the combat, you just, like, you're not fast enough, you're not accurate enough. It's all over. I do like that they do tie accuracy to having the flashlight on and off, but having the skill meter, like, and not knowing that you have a skill meter, it makes it a little much. And the acting is kind of janky in the game, but I'm going to excuse that for it being played, like, early era survival horror, but it is not as bad as the OG Resident Evil 1, so it can have that. Though there are just some times when Dahlia, yeah, there are, or that writing where it's like it was foretold by Gyromancy. Anyway, so despite some of the flaws it had, Silent Hill 1 is where it all started. That was a crazy game when it came out, and it didn't ask for too much. It wasn't getting convoluted. It just gave you what it wanted to, and that is why it's S.
That's true. I'm sorry, I just gotta interject real
Go
quick.
ahead. No, go ahead.
We talked about this in the last stream when it comes to puzzles, on pretty much with the Silent Hill puzzles, they throw you into the deep end of the pool and expect for you to figure it out. Like, they don't even give you clues on what you're supposed to do.
Nope.
And that's part of what made those types of games as fun as they were, because you actually had to think. You didn't have the game holding your hand all the way through. Like, one of the things, look, I love Dead Space, but the one mechanic that I never liked about Dead Space is when you hit the thumbstick and it pretty much shows you where you're supposed to go.
Breadcrumbs.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you do that? And I'm like, let me figure it out. That's, to me, that's just as bad as somebody coming to your stream and pretty much telling you what you need to do or what you should go to.
Oh, yuck.
And I'm like, that just takes my enjoyment out of the game, But I still love Dead Space. I just wish they would give that an option, to be able to turn that on and off.
That'd be cool. Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2. It's in B.
Now, quick thing.
All right.
Quick thing before you go on with that. Just because I haven't played these games doesn't mean I don't know what they actually look like. I've watched videos of people playing it. So I'll jump in when I can to kind of give my opinion, but she's the queen of Silent Hill. So
it might be.
It's all her. And I will say this, look, a lot of people are going to get mad at me, but I'm going to sit here and I will die on this hill, and I will say that Silent Hill 3 is better than 2.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Because people are like, oh, Silent Hill. I'm not saying Silent Hill 2 is a bad game, but after watching people play through Silent Hill 2 and then playing Silent Hill 3 myself, I'm like, yeah, 3 is better.
Way different. Way different. Yeah. So Silent Hill 2. This is me not even making it like S tier automatically, like, makes me a shun person. I did debate putting it in C, by the way. Just so you all know, I did debate putting it in C, but then I had to kind of shuffle things around once I got the other games, because these are all the games I have played or in short message of viewed. So 2. Yes, it's considered the greatest horror game at all time. Is in for its writing at S rank. S rank. 2 is the story is one of the greatest stories ever told. It really is. There was so much love put into the writing. Yeah, I'll get to the combat. We're talking about the writing. So yeah, an amazing, 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 amazing story. Fantastic story. We will never have that. I can remember getting to the hotel. I remember watching that fucking videotape as a kid and being like when I, like, it just, they had lightning in a bottle. Really, they did, making it so that the entire time you were actually playing the villain. That was a twist we didn't really have at this point, and not to that extent. It was great. The references, all the literary references, just everything. It was fantastic. Okay. I will say that. Here now is why it is in B rank for me. The combat. The combat is huge for me because when you compare, 4 suffers a bit from this, but when you compare the combat and the monsters 1 and 3, 2 is a walk in the park. I believe that 2 is just a vehicle for the story. Like, I feel like the combat in the actual game is just a vehicle for the story. And I get bored as hell playing Silent Hill 2. I get bored as hell. There's like no monsters at all, or it's just, it's just a back and forth of just it'll be like 1 or 2 monsters. There's no need to juggle like different monster types in any areas. There are kind of, but there's no threat really, and using like the actual combat itself is lame.
So basically it's Resident Evil 7 before Resident Evil 7 was 7.
Pretty much, yeah. Actually, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's a good way to put it, and I think a lot of people, because no offense, I'm a Silent Hill fan, so I'll get out this. Liking Silent Hill, like being a fan of it, means like you are a little bit unsufferable and pretentious, and I think that's why a lot of people maybe glom on to 2 a lot more than the others, just because it's obvious, like, it's very easy for, anyone to kind of grab the concept of what was happening without, they didn't even need to read anything. They didn't need any background. Like, you get to the reveal in that story and you're like, oh, okay, like, this is crazy. But the combat, yeah, the combat suffers. The combat really, really suffers. One problem, actually, that really gets me is the Pyramid Head encounters are based on a timer. They're actually on a timer. And if the more you shoot Pyramid Head, like the faster the timer will go down, which makes the game the fight a lot faster. On hard mode, the final Pyramid Head fight with the 2 of them, that can be up to an hour of waiting on that. They did add the failsafe though on the Mary fight, that if you didn't have any ammo left, at the very least it would auto kill itself. I think it does that in Silent Hill 1. It does not in Silent Hill 3 or 4. So, going on to that, the puzzles are good. The puzzles are good. They actually don't get that insane on whether, like, during difficulties. They don't get that insane. There's not that much of a difficulty spike. But they did add a hidden mode, hidden unlockable. I forget all of what you needed. The Silent Hill 1 boss fight. Yeah, I forget what you actually required every ending and then get hard mode. Anyways, they give you a hidden puzzle difficulty that is kind of batshit. It is kind of batshit. So the puzzles, again, I think they're easier. The combat feels like non-existent. You don't need to have extra riddle. Yes. So you don't need to really do a lot of resource management. That game, even in hard mode, that game throws so much health at you, so many bullets. Like, it didn't feel the same as 1 and 3 or even 4, where it didn't feel as oppressive. Like, I might find one monster in like 4 different hallways, just one. Whereas, Silent Hill 3 is like, here's 5 monsters in one hallway.
With Silent Hill 2, I could pretty much sum that up. Like, if you are just someone that has never heard of the Silent Hill series and you want to, get into it, Silent Hill 2 would probably be your first, like, the doorway into the entry, because looking at people play through it looks extremely easy to me. Easy doesn't necessarily mean bad, but if you know the type of gamer that I am, I like challenge. I don't like breezing through stuff. You know what I mean? So Silent Hill 3 almost made me bald headed. I like that. I like that type of difficulty. But yeah, it just I don't it's just with Silent Hill 2. It's a good game from what I see, but I think that people tend to overhype it a little bit, just like with Mega Man 2. A lot of people, oh, Mega Man 2 is or Rockman 2 if you're in Japan. I think 3 is better than 2. But it's like, hey, everybody has their own opinions. But if you're just getting into the Resident Evil series, Resident Evil 2, sorry, Silent Hill 2, got Resident Evil on the mind. Silent Hill 2 is the way to go. You can ease your way into the
Silent
series.
Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 is like Resident Evil 4, actually. I would go as far to say that. Like, it's so accessible. Everyone can pick up Resident Evil 4. But then you ask people to go and pick up Resident Evil 1 or 2 OG, and they're like, whoa. Like, it's a whole different ballpark.
Now, they could. There is a chance that when they come out with the remake of Silent Hill 2, they might add some things to it. They may make it a little more difficult than the original one was, because that's what they did with, the original Resident Evil games. Like the Resident Evil remake, 1 remake is actually a little more difficult than the original, and it doesn't have that, that diarrhea clown fart music that it has.
And they did actually give you an option to not use tank controls, which I think made it easier for a lot of people.
Yeah, but
as well,
that new control scheme threw me off. Like using that on keyboard, there are only certain games that I have to use a controller for, and that game I had to play with the controller because I could not play with keyboard and mouse with the Resident Evil remake.
So now we have 3. Silent Hill 3.
Oh yes. See, definitely I'm a jump in on this one like once she's finished, because I love this game.
Yeah. Man. So 3. Greatest game. Honestly, greatest game. This game had so much potential, but it was screwed over by budget cuts and timing. That is a huge issue that this game had. So the biggest way you can tell is there are some, and I say this because I speedrun this, right? I speedrun this game, so I can tell you how quick certain areas are. Not every place has an otherworld to it, and they were supposed to. I know one is the underground, like the subway station, that was supposed to have. There was even promotional art with the otherworld version of that. So the game was very, very short. It ended up being quite short. And I feel like it suffered there. Anyways, let's get to the writing. The writing for this game, fantastic. I think it was a perfect sequel to Silent Hill 1. I think it wrapped everything up. It did not give a storybook ending. There was no storybook ending, but I love the writing for it. I loved how it was also kind of bookends with the first game, where it's just they were kind of going through the same places that Harry and Heather were going through, and it was just really cool to see kind of how it was like a duel. Like, it was almost like one was how Harry was experiencing Silent Hill, and then 3 is probably not only how Heather is experiencing it, but probably also how Cheryl experienced it, like little Cheryl. Probably. Right? And so the writing, I just love the writing. I really did. I loved it. The acting was great. The conversations felt very natural, even though sometimes they were a little hammy. It was good. It was good. The voice acting was good. It was so nice. The design. Silent Hill 3 is the best looking game on PlayStation 2, on the PS2. Hands down. That game, hands down, like, that game's 21 years old now. And that game it still looks so good. Silent Hill 3 looks amazing. Like, it is so, so beautiful. You cannot believe that game is, like, you can't believe that's a PS2 game. They went all out on that, and that was a significant jump compared to, like, 2 to 3 was, like, incredible. And they were only, 2-year difference, I think? They got all the games out
Do you
really quick.
think, like, would you equate like Silent Hill 3 treatment to what they did with Resident Evil 3, where
Hmm.
it just felt like they didn't take as much time on Silent Hill 3 as they did with 2? And the same thing
Yeah,
with Resident Evil 3, because Resident Evil 3 is relatively short, and it just feels like they didn't put their all into that game. It's not a bad game. The remake is, but it's not a bad game by any means, but it
yeah,
just kind of feels incomplete, like they could have done more than they did.
yeah. Oh yeah, you can tell when time and money ran out. That's a thing in Silent Hill 3. You can tell whether the time and the money ran out. And a huge issue that 3 and 4 had, especially 4, I'll get into that later. They were actually developed at the same time. They were being developed pretty much at the same time, both those games.
Yeah, I figured that.
So yeah, yeah, and you can tell. I know with like the god, the end character, the god. I don't know how else to say that. Yeah, she's the god. She's god. Okay, but um, Masahiro Ito actually said that he did the entire design for that boss in like 2 days. He only had like 2 days to do that. Half of its body is using the arms and hands of Pyramid Head, and its head is using Mary's face from Silent Hill 2, using the Bat Boss monster's face. Like you can see things like that. Same with there not being any other world versions of like the subway.
Yeah,
Things like that.
no wonder she looks like a giant bobblehead. That's exactly what it looked like. A giant
Yeah,
bobblehead attacking
exactly.
Heather.
Right?
Like a
Exactly.
giant rock'em sock'em robot. Karate fighter.
Oh my god, and it's disgusting. And on the extreme difficulties, it gets that fight. I'm so glad. I will never do that fight without the glitch. I can't. I have to use the glitch.
Yeah, on
Um,
Extreme 10, like she took it to the limit. When they made that song, they were talking about Kelsey playing, Silent Hill 3, man.
the only issue, like the biggest thing I think for me is with how little time it took for them to model it. Like every other monster, not every monster, but most of them, they all have their unique designs. Anyways, on to puzzles. Silent Hill 3's puzzles. On hard mode, the puzzles are disgusting. On the very first puzzle, everyone knows this puzzle. Everyone knows what puzzle I'm talking about. That is the Shakespeare puzzle. That is the most disgusting puzzle in Silent Hill history, because not only do you have to know not only do you have to know what Shakespeare books are about, at the very least know what they're about, but you also have to do math. You also have to do math on top of that. That I know there's got to be like so many people, I'm sure, got to that part of the puzzle and they just never did it. Yeah, you have to do math. But the puzzles themselves were pretty good. I liked I liked how a lot more of the puzzles were less having to, like put this item in here. More so it was like when you had to set the painting on fire. When you had to set the painting on fire, um, you had to get pork liver, you had to get oxidol, and you had to get matches, because you're putting it all in there, and that creates flame. Like it was cute things like that. I liked the puzzles. I thought they were brutal, but they were still pretty fair. They were
I
still
mean,
pretty fair.
the puzzles were great, but the one thing that I had about that, it's like, give me a clue on something. Like, don't tell me what to do, but give me like a clue on what I'm supposed to do. Silent Hill 3 would just throw you in there, and there's
Yep.
nothing wrong with that. And it's like, when I would do these puzzles, like the cracking the nut and getting the moon pearl to put in the door, how the hell are you supposed to know to do that?
I know.
Like,
I know,
they don't
right?
give you no indication that that's what you're supposed to do. Oh yeah, I gotta go and get this old piece of meat down here in the refrigerator.
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
how are you supposed to figure out to do that? Nobody's gonna figure that out their first time playing.
No, exactly. You just need to keep trying. You just need to keep trying.
It's like
It's
at least
yeah.
I remember when I played Silent Hill 3, I was stuck on the same part for like a month because I had no idea what to do. And because I'm a stubborn dude, I didn't want to look on the damn internet.
Yeah, me neither.
But it's like, yeah,
Me neither.
just some of this stuff. I enjoy the game, but I'm just like, man, come on, like nobody's gonna figure that out. Like, yeah,
Right? Yeah.
let me use this clothes hanger to pull down this ladder.
Yeah, right? Let me unbend this clothes hanger. Yeah, exactly.
And that
Exactly.
and the Shakespeare puzzle, like they can have that. It's a good thing I know about some of that stuff, but you ask people these days who are dumb as a box of rocks, you say what Shakespeare is, they think it's something you get at McDonald's. So they wouldn't be able to figure it out.
That's funny. No, of course not. I don't even know how much of that they teach in schools these days, but that's another digression.
Yes, it is.
So just so the final part, and this is the reason why Silent Hill 3 is the best for me. Silent Hill 3 has the best combat in all Silent Hill games. It has the best combat. It has so much, like, and you can tell it does. It's trying to be like it is in Silent Hill 1. Silent Hill 1 had great combat, had great unlocks. Silent Hill 3 went above and beyond. And you could tell that they put a lot into the combat because they gave you the extreme difficulties. The extreme difficulties. That is how I knew they actually wanted to focus on combat in this game. Because as you go up the extremes from extreme 1 to extreme 10, you have to know what you're doing. You have to know all the combat. You have to know. They even gave you things like beef jerky. It's just, there was so much put into it. I remember when I first got into speed running it, I actually was looking up all the different values, and there are certain things like, it's like the katana is kind of like the knife in Resident Evil, where it's how many the damage is dealt by like how much of is hit, and how, it's like per frames and stuff. But and this goes back into the writing. The best one for me is the Heather Beam, because you unlock the Heather Beam when you get the bad ending, and I think you have to do something else to unlock it. I can't remember, but
that flamethrower is absolute trash.
You can get an upgraded one if you beat the game on Extreme 10. I believe.
Really?
No, 10 star. No, it's 10 star. It's a 10 star. It's a 10 star. It'll upgrade it. Yeah. So yeah, it is trash.
I'm not really a fan of infinite weapons, but it's like, being able to burn things down to the core was pretty fun for me. But it's like, when you still getting punched in the head by these giant monsters while you're burning them, yeah, that weapon sucks.
They always suck. It's like, it's gotta be a rule.
The one in Resident Evil 2 that Leon gets is decent, but it's not anything I would go back to get. That one in Alien Isolations, that one was dog shit.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And it's like my one knock, like this one knock on Silent Hill 3. I mean, we like to joke, and we're dead serious about this, on how Sebastian from Evil Within has the worst stamina system. Heather has terrible stamina.
Oh, it's even worse in Extreme 10 because she only has half her stamina.
It's like, man, like she breathing harder than I've ever seen anybody. Like, she was breathing harder than the first time I got on a treadmill again.
Actually, Henry in Silent Hill 4, you get him for a while, he is like, he's breathing like he's gonna throw up. He really is. But yeah, the stamina system is awful. It really is, and it affects your ability to do certain, like how fast you attack as well, which is really, really bad some points.
Yeah. And it's like, it would be like, I mean, stamina systems in games aren't that great anyways, but at least if they had it to where the more you ran around, the more stamina she would get, like she would get, more stamina, more strength. it would have been bearable. But she's just out of breath just from using the Heather beam. I'm like, you literally standing there doing the scissor dance, and she's out of breath from that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Or yeah, she does. Or just shooting. Even shooting depletes your stamina. Even shooting a bullet does.
I'm like, why? Like, how does that even happen? Like, I don't know what they were thinking with that.
One thing that I thought was cute that they did add is every other character, when you down an enemy, you stomp on them to kill them, right? In Silent Hill 3, Heather has to give them like 3 kicks in a row because she's just a little girl.
Yeah.
Now,
I like a lot of the monster designs, but some of them are kind of questionable. I don't know what they would think with some of that. Like them, whatever them purple enemies are, man. Like I don't know about that, man. They kind of look like, you know, I'm not gonna say it because I don't know what type, but they kind of look questionable. You know what I mean?
They don't even like they didn't every other game like every other Silent Hill they're like, oh well, this was where I can tell you like budget and or time ran out. Every other Silent Hill monster has like all this insane, you know, symbolism and stuff, but there are monsters, like especially like the one you were talking about, where they've asked and they're being like, no, there's like no symbolism for this monster. It's actually no symbolism for this monster.
I don't know where they came up with that one though, but I mean, Silent Hill 3 is a classic. If you never played it, play it. It doesn't matter if you play the original one with the original cast voices or the remake one. Just make sure that if you do pick up like the Silent Hill HD collection, do not get it for PS3 because it's buggy as all hell. They never fixed it. The Xbox 360, I had that version. I didn't really have issues with that one, like a lot of people said they did. So it was playable for me. My experience with Silent Hill 3, because that was the first one that I ever played. Silent Hill 3 for me, when it comes to games, were basically like, I'm always the type of gamer that finds out things too late after everybody knew it. So it's like, by the time I got to Silent Hill 3, I was one of those guys that was on the fence. I was like, man, what is this Resident Evil ripoff shit, man? This is like Battletoads copy of Ninja Turtles. I was one of those kids growing up until I finally got my hands on it. And I love horror games. Y'all know that. And Silent Hill 3 is one of the darkest, like dark atmospheric games. I love it. I love all the scenery. I love the monsters you gotta face, except for those butthole monsters, you know, that jump at you. I don't know about those. But them flying enemies, like it gives you that sense of dread when you're out there in the fog and you got these flying enemies and those dogs and stuff. Like I love Silent Hill 3. I love Silent Hill 3. It's a beautiful looking game, even on the PS2, because the PS2 is that far ahead of its time. But I didn't play Silent Hill 3 probably until, because it came out in 03, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't play it until I was like 15 years old.
Oh, okay. It was a while then.
Yeah, so it was that, because I had the PS1 for a long time. The PS1, and then I didn't get the PS2 until much later. So I didn't really get a chance to get my hands on Silent Hill 3. But yes, damn good game. It definitely belongs in the S tier. And if you don't like it, but you will accept it.
Honestly, I was 10 years old, so I probably shouldn't have been playing these games, but
yeah, see, when I was a kid, I'll admit to y'all, man, when I was a little kid, like, you know, a lot of stuff scared me, man, when I was a little kid. So my father would be like, nah, you're not playing that stuff, because every time you have nightmares, you end up in here in my room. When I was a little kid, so it's like, you know, like my father, sorry, Dad, sorry. But yeah, I would go to my cousin's house and play Mortal Kombat and stuff like that.
Oh my God.
And then I end up, you know, going down the hallway. Dad, I can't sleep. Can I sleep in here, please?
Oh man, my father was into horror games. I was traumatized young.
Anyways, though, yeah, let's continue on.
back to Silent Hill. Yeah, 4, and then my reviews will, after 4, it'll get a lot quicker because not too much to say about the other. So 4, you either hate it or you love it.
I think
You
it's
either
boring
hate it or
as
you love it.
I think it's boring as shit.
Okay, I do love 4 in concept. In theory, not in practice. That is the problem I have with 4. 4 is great. Like, 4 tried to do something way different, and I liked what they did with it. I loved, like, I, but it had an issue that I think the Western Silent Hills kind of started to go into, where they intended Silent Hill, like, they wanted to do something different, and that is the reason why we ended up with Silent Hill 4, but they tried to take things that obviously have no place in Silent Hill, like the unkillable enemies. Though, like, that was a real downside. The ghosts in Silent Hill 4 were such a downside. Like, they were such a downside. Because, like, they were unkillable. You couldn't do anything. You could only run. They drain your health when they're near you. And then later on, you have a fucking escort for the rest of the game. And it's just, the combat, it was janky. It was janky. I did love the story. The story was, like I said, they were trying to do what other games were doing. They were trying to explain, like, parts of Silent Hill outside of Silent Hill. And I feel like the only way it worked in 2 was because it was still owned it was still being, like, owned by Konami, being developed by them. Whereas, like, it's difficult. You can see where the budget and the time ran out heavily in this one. They kind of did the same thing. I see this as being, like, almost a repeat of Silent Hill 2, because the actual combat and the actual gameplay of 4 is not that engaging because it's so repetitive. I will say that the design of I love the aesthetic of 4. I love the aesthetic of 4 because it's trying to go back a little bit to, like, the burning and the dirt and the grime and everything, but it does its best. The combat, yeah, okay, so the combat and the problem with the camera as well. So they attempted to still do the fixed camera angle while no longer being tank controls. When I do a marathon of Silent Hill 1 to 4, once I get to 4, my brain does not want to actually work anymore. I'm trying to play 4 and I'm like, okay, like, I understand that it's no longer tank control, but, like, it's still fixed camera angles. And it makes it brutal to play through. This game, but, like, I feel this game kind of, what I like the most is I like the extra mechanics. Like, they added so many extra gameplay mechanics to this game. The one obviously is your room, which they are, like, discouraging you from coming back often because they'll just get more and more haunted. And if you don't clear out the hauntings, you get a worse ending, right? You get a worse ending. The endings weren't that great, honestly. They were all kind of, like, slight variations, but I did like the haunting part. The escort mission part was ass.
Yeah, I've seen it.
That
When you're fighting the final boss and you got to keep that girl from dying, that jump was evil. Whoever did that was a troll.
And you know what? How quickly she dies depends on how much damage she took during the actual gameplay, and she starts getting possessed over time. Is really, really annoying because if you leave her near monsters or she gets hit, she starts getting possessed. But if you leave her alone for too long, she starts getting, like, you can't do anything. You, like, can't win. I have maybe once or twice. It must be, like, twice at least. It's got to be twice. for the endings that she has been kept alive, and it is awful. It is disgusting. And then eventually she becomes possessed and she hurts you. And she'll freeze in place and she'll start hitting herself and you're like, please, Eileen, like, can we just go?
Yeah, I can't. I'm sorry. Like that game to me, I watched through that. It just looks boring. It's just there. You got Wish.com Leon as the protagonist. Then you got freaking, he looks like the love child of Harry Mason and Leon Kennedy. That's what he looks like to me.
He does.
And it's like,
he does.
They put everything in there that would turn a horror game fan off. Escort missions are the bane of my existence next to water levels. And I'm talking about
especially in a horror game.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's already bad enough that you got all of this crap that you got to deal with. Now you got to watch this chick back here or this little child back here or whatever. I hate escort missions. But, I can forgive all of that. But I just got one question when it comes to Konami and Silent Hill 4. What in the blue icy hell is up with the enemies in this game? Killer wheelchairs?
I know that pop a wheelie on you when they knock you down. The enemy design is so janky. The patients that burp.
What the hell is that? Like, I can forgive everything else, but once I saw that, I hit the floor. And I was like, were they partaking in some, strange activities that made their mind go to that? Like, how do you just come up with
extracurriculars?
It's like, you know what, dude? Yeah. I think we should do killer wheelchairs, man. I don't like that. That to me was probably, I don't know what they were thinking with that. I don't know what they were thinking with that crap, man. Killer wheelchairs.
Yeah,
how the hell is that scary, man? Come on,
It's not. And they knock you down and it's hilarious because, like, the physics on Henry, like, that dude weighs, like, no more than a paper bag. The way that he flies when things hit him, like, he just goes flying. It's comedic. There is an article that I read. I once read this one night on stream too, where it says Silent Hill 4 makes more sense when you think it's a comedy. And it does. Silent Hill 4 makes way more sense if you think it's a comedy.
So it's pretty much a parody of Silent Hill.
Yeah, it really is. But I love it. That's why it's A for me, because it's just, I don't know. There's something about it. I think I like the aesthetic and I like the writing and the story of it, but yeah.
I get that, but I still don't see what the point of having, wheelchairs teabag you and moonwalk across your body. I don't see who thought that was a good idea. Like that took me out of it. I'm like, this game is horrible, man.
I'm guessing they probably put all their time and money into 3's design. It's gotta be, because you can tell the fact that they repeat the same areas again a second time, except with an escort mission. But I still find it fun.
Yeah, I think it was Alpha Omega Sen who said it best. He said when they made Silent Hill 4, they were trying to make a game that was like Silent Hill, but they failed in every way possible. I just feel like after 3 is when, how I feel about what sequels of movies. Like when it comes to, like, let's use a franchise like the Terminator. Terminator 2 was the height of its peak. That was the best movie that they made in that series. And anything that followed after that was not going to be as good, and it was going to fail. And that's how I feel like how the Silent Hill series started to go after 3. Nothing else was going to be able to match those original 3.
We have now, okay, so those are the Japanese made Silent Hill games. That's now going to become a much shorter conversation because I don't have as much to say about the Western developed ones. But first we have Origins, C tier. Origins had no idea what it was doing. No idea what it was doing. It tried to, like, be a prequel, but the prequel did not even make sense for the first game. Like it already just they didn't Harry dirty. Yeah, no, it made no sense. Like I love the monster design and the story was pretty cool, but it suffers from the same thing that the next one I'm going to talk about suffered from, where they wanted to make Silent Hill. They wanted to make it Silent Hill, but they have this issue where for some reason they can't come up with any new ideas and they try to tie it into stories where it actually like it makes no sense when compared to the other story.
So basically this Silent Hill game is basically like Diet Coke. It's got,
yeah,
they removed everything that makes Coke taste good.
Yeah, and it got more actiony. It had, you could like use, okay, there was a fun thing. You could throw TVs at monsters and stuff. That was fun. But
throw TVs at monsters.
Yeah, it was cool. Didn't Travis also, couldn't he punch? Can't remember. Maybe he could. But it was starting to go more actiony, which is kind of expected when it's a Western developer, but yeah, it's in C tier because it just tried to be a prequel to a game that did not need a prequel. Everything it added to it made no sense or ruined Silent Hill 1.
Unfortunately, I have never, these ones that she's talking about other than Homecoming, I never actually sat down to watch videos, so I'm just going along with her because she knows about these games.
So yeah, now we're actually, speaking of Homecoming, we're on to Homecoming. Homecoming, honestly, of all the Western developed Silent Hills, I feel like I'm like sad. I'm almost sad saying this, but Homecoming's the best one. Where it failed, which is just like the way that it failed, the other ones failed, like I just said, like with Origins, they tried to add their own like background and lore, which was for the cult and the families, which is fine. That's fine. But then they had to go full Silent Hill 2 on it. There was fucking Pyramid Head. They were copying this actually off the movie that came out. So Homecoming had a lot to do with the movie, and it just like, I feel like Homecoming would have been really good if they had just focused on the town and then really kind of, maybe gone into more like war PTSD and stuff. It was all over the place. Didn't know what it wanted to be. It was really fun though. The monster design was great. I love the boss battles. But adding their own Pyramid Head, that was not cool. Yeah, the shoehorned, yeah, and it totally went off the movie type too. So it was what it is. It's B tier. It's definitely B tier.
My thing on that, because shout out to Mr. G Star 321, because that's where I watched this playthrough when he was playing through that. Homecoming to me, like the story is decent. It's decent. You got this guy Alex, who thinks that he is coming home from the service when he was really in a insane asylum because he accidentally, killed his little brother. But he thinks, that, that he's getting off from the service and he goes home. Another generic looking character. He literally looks like a budget, Nathan Drake from Uncharted.
Yeah, but I know.
The story's not bad. The characters are pretty cool, especially the gunsmith, the guy that's in the gun shop. That guy is funny as hell.
Yeah.
That guy's hilarious. Yeah. But they have it's a very dark game, and the combat is not too bad. Like, you got to do the hammer dance too many times around monsters, trying to club them and stuff. But it's not bad. Like, they have some decisions in there, like that decision you have to make with his mother. That jump.
Oh, I know.
That jump was so. I'm like, come on, man, you can't do that. Where she's on the torture machine.
I know. And you either shoot her or let her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, either shoot her or the machine is gonna kill her, and she dies either way. And I'm like, dude, like that's dark. That is dark,
Yeah.
man. And then you got
Same with his father.
now the part with his dad, with Pyramid Head, that was stupid. Like, why the heck did they have Pyramid Head show up and slice that guy in half?
I know.
That made
Didn't
no
need
sense.
Pyramid Head.
Because I always
Didn't
thought
need to be in there.
I always thought Pyramid Head was tied to Silent Hill 2.
Right? Was he not supposed to be James's monster? Was he not supposed to be James's monster?
They just put him in there for no reason. It's a decent story. I like I forget what the girl's name was, but the whole thing with the judge, I never thought that the judge was in on it.
Yeah.
She was in on that stuff, turned out to be a psychopath and all that stuff, and you were supposed to be sacrificed, Alex, not your brother. It's just, I mean, it was a decent game. It wasn't too bad, and you're definitely right that it was the best that the American team put out. It's worth playing.
Yeah, except now it's also buggy as hell. Like, it's pretty much impossible to play it on modern, like, PC. Which I would love to replay this game, but that was the one issue. It was buggy as hell. That game is so buggy.
Even the Steam version?
I don't even know. Pardon?
Even the Steam version?
Yep. It was just a buggy game.
Wow.
The Steam version is just, yeah.
It's basically like the Batman Arkham, what is that other one that came out? That last one that's virtually unplayable. You can't play it because it's so damn buggy.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, how you gonna do Batman like that, man?
Awful.
But yeah, so I do know about, because I watched that playthrough plenty of times to get an opinion of it. It's not bad. Like, I think that C is fair. C, because it's in the C tier, right? Yeah, it's fair.
No, I put it in B tier. I put in B tier, actually.
B tier?
Yeah.
Okay,
just because all the other Western ones are C.
I mean, I would put it in C because it's not too bad, but it's not that good either. But yeah. B is fair.
There you go. So what do we have next? What came out? I think Shattered Memories came out. I put this in C tier because one, I played on the Wii. It wasn't actually like it was a reimagining of Silent Hill 1, but I didn't actually like it was okay. Like the mechanics were kind of okay. Like the way that your ending and your profile was based on how you were interacting with things, but like shattered the fans' expectations. No, by the time Shattered Memories came around, none of us cared. Like we were already beaten down. But yeah, it just wasn't a Silent Hill game. That's why it's in C.
You lost me at Nintendo Wii.
Yeah,
a Silent Hill game on Nintendo Wii. Boo.
Yeah, I don't even know if I finished it. I don't even think I finished it. I just was like, okay, I thought I'd be getting something way different. Like, we should have gotten a Silent Hill 1 remake instead of that. But whatever. That's why it's on C tier.
Isn't Book of Memories... Isn't Book of Memories like a spinoff of that game?
I'm not sure.
Are they connected in some way?
I've never touched Book of Memories. Never touched Book of Memories.
It's a dungeon crawler. That's all it is. Like,
I know.
You pretty much create your own Silent Hill character, which is I kind of like that. And then you just go through different dungeons, ice dungeons, fire dungeons, and you fight different monsters, and you get weapons that are breakable. Like, so you get things like fire swords and ice swords. I'm like, is this World of Warcraft or is this supposed to be Silent Hill?
I know. I've watched people play. Like, I've watched like light playthroughs, and I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
It's like it looked like one of those games you see on like a phone or something.
Yeah. a mobile game, that's actually perfect. That's pretty much what it is.
And the only Silent Hill thing that's tied into it is that they have Heather as an unlockable character, and you do fight Pyramid Head in there, but it's just like
I think Baltiel's in it, but it's
but
nah.
after a certain amount of missions, you start to repeat, like the missions start to repeat themselves, the dungeons start to repeat themselves. You're fighting the same enemies, you're fighting the same boss. And I'm like I said, all of your weapons are breakable. So if you get, great weapons and stuff, they'll break after a while. Then you got to get it again.
Yeah, no thanks. I didn't like that in Origins. It didn't. It's so wait. The PS2 version is so expensive when it's not a good game. Usually goes on the how many, like a limited release is usually what it is, especially with like Silent Hill games. Oh, I just saying, I was talking about on my stream yesterday, I think it was. I was talking about how the dot hack games and how they're worth a whole bunch, and one of them, like, huge reason is like, I think the fourth game in the first series, like, I believe it only had like less than like 100,000 copies were actually like released, and that makes it super rare.
I believe it, because that's how most like when it comes to like those Japanese anime imports, which it was first before they released the English version. A lot of that stuff is very, very rare to find. Like, and it's like to track down. A lot of people don't even know that there was a Cowboy Bebop game for PlayStation, but I have it. Like,
and there's so much random stuff.
Like I had it because there used to be down here in Florida. There used to be a Japanese, because it's like a Asian part of town, as you call it, and we had a Japanese import store there. And I used to get my father to take me there all the time. Like, Dad, you got to take me here. And I was back in the PlayStation era. That's where I got the first Inuyasha fighting game. I got Cowboy Bebop. I got Dragon Ball Z Legends, Dragon Ball Final Bout. So I became kind of an import collector. Like for PS2, I still have Blood Plus, which that game is extremely rare to find and stuff. But it's like there's limited releases over here for that stuff, if they even give it to us to begin with.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. And usually, especially games like this, like back in the day, like they had such a small market for them anyways, right? Like they weren't printing off pardon me, 1 million copies of Silent Hill 3.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like that's they weren't. The same with almost all Silent Hills have that issue. Actually, they had a really limited release run. I know Silent Hill 4 especially had a very limited one, but the only one I don't physically own is Homecoming, I think. Yeah, I think Homecoming's the only one I don't own. I don't own PT either.
Yeah, and you can imagine how much those systems are selling for, because as soon as they shut down that thing, people do what they always do. They put their system on eBay and try to sell it for thousands of dollars.
With PT on it, man.
And I tell you, it just goes to show to me that I'm starting to think that stupidity is a disease. I think it's airborne. Because you got people that are just going on here and spending thousands of dollars for stuff for a demo. But then these were the same people who got mad when they charged the full price for, what was it, Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, which was literally like a 2-hour demo.
Right.
I'm like, you're complaining about $40, but you're going to pay $3,000 for a demo. I don't give a flying crap how great that demo is. You could not get me to pay no thousands of dollars for no system. I don't care I don't care if it was made out of solid gold. I don't care if it cooks me dinner and bakes me cupcakes. I'm not paying $3,000 for no damn system.
Fuck, man. PT was just it would have been so good. It would have been so good. Yeah, like no one, that would have been the best Silent Hill game ever made. All right, that would have been a perfect reboot. Everyone's still heartbroken. Like that was the day. That was the day. Like Silent Hill actually died. I think was when they got like, you know what I mean. Like we had been sitting here for years, just watching Silent Hill get pimped out.
I mean,
The demo.
Now, come on, y'all. Now, y'all know there's no money in PT. You know the money is clearly in making pachinko machines because that's what Konami was focusing on. They were focusing on making these.
Konami. Okay, so Konami is like a conglomerate, right? So they have like Konami Digital Entertainment, which is the gaming thing, which I think they merged it with Konami Gaming, didn't they? Didn't they merge? Because Konami Gaming is the gambling, the pachinko slots and stuff. But I think they merged it, and I think that's a huge reason why they just started putting out pachinko slots with all that stuff.
Konami used to be the shit. And I mean, you talk about falling from the top. There's a lot of games that I used to play back in the day that came from Konami, whether it was in the arcades or at home, and to see how far they have fallen and all of these franchises that they are just sitting on. They're not doing anything with. Castlevania. When was the last time they did a Castlevania game? They're sitting on that. Silent Hill, yeah, they're doing Silent Hill 2, and Lord help us. You know, because you're messing with people's nostalgia like that. Cause you got to be careful with that. And it's like, if you don't want to do gaming anymore, then sell your IPs to other companies and let them at least attempt to try to do something with it. But when you had Hideo Kojima, who was the creator of Metal Gear Solid, you had him willing to work on a Silent Hill game. And the way that they treated that man and they did him dirty, it's disgusting, man. I ain't got no respect for Konami. The Konami gaming systems and division is about as valuable as a fast food bathroom at this point. I don't give a crap.
Yep.
I don't care what they come out with at this point.
These are the last two on the tier list, and this is actually goes with what you're saying. So we've seen so far what happens when Konami just like tosses out their IP. What happens? Silent Hill Ascension. Who here knows what Silent Hill Ascension is?
I don't know, and I'm actually kind of glad I don't know.
Silent Hill Ascension. Konami had they had nothing to do with this. It's like a phone game that they came out with, which, Mobile Hill. It was riddled with microtransactions. Like, it was stupid as hell. It's just like you could wail. Like, it was so bad. It was so bad. It was such a shit show. And I think it's still going on for like the rest of the year or something, but like no one's watching it. There was so much drama. The dude who, like, there was so much drama around it because it was like, that was like, Ascension was the first thing that came out after they had announced reviving Silent Hill. That was the first thing that came out, was Ascension, which Konami had nothing to do with it. They even went on, said we have nothing to do with it. Like, they just pimped out the Silent Hill name to this mobile game, which is like a mobile like movie, and people get to like spend points to influence what was happening. But when the audience was choosing like certain storylines, like the actual developer was getting mad at everyone and being like, why did you choose that storyline? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what do you mean?
I mean, again, you lost me at mobile. Like, who on Claudia's Green Earth thought that would be a good idea to have a Silent Hill mobile game? Like, that's the worst thing you could do for a series like that. That's how you know the series
is not even a game.
That's how you know the series is dead.
No. And it literally wasn't even a game though. Like, it wasn't even a game. It's not like it's an interactive movie or some shit. Like, it was so crazy. Like, no one knew what it was, but I can remember just like I opened it And I looked at it and I'm like, no thanks, and I uninstalled it immediately. I was like, this is stupid, and it is. It's so stupid. But they did kind of come back with the short message. I don't know. I didn't get to play it because I don't have PS5, but I watched it, and they are trying. I think
know.
they are trying.
I don't know. Like, do you? I think I don't know if it's too late. I mean, it's never too late. But the fact that you have been, giving the middle finger.
Too late 20 years ago.
Yeah, like you giving the middle finger to your fan base for so long, and now all of a sudden it's like, hey, we're gonna do a remake of Silent Hill 2 and Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. Please love me again. Yeah. It's like that. It's like that X that comes back. Can you just love me again? No, man.
Right? Oh my God, I've changed. No, you're not. You're just. You're not. You haven't changed. You're just trying to see if I'm still an idiot.
Yeah, it's just, man. How could they let it go down that badly? Like Silent Hill used to be a legit competition to Resident Evil and to games like Clock Tower and stuff like that.
Yep.
And Amnesia and stuff like that. And then they threw it all away. I don't understand it. I don't understand what they were thinking.
I know, and what, now that Capcom is starting to do remakes, like they've risen from their grave and they're like, Capcom's doing what? They're like, Capcom's doing what? What is Capcom doing? Capcom's doing what? I want money too. And here we are, like, doing Silent Hills that aren't in Silent Hill. But like, fuck, at this point, man, like, Silent Hill 2 remake is such a meme. Like, they haven't even announced a release date. And it's been nearly 3 years. Yeah, we're getting close to 3 years since they announced it.
And for so long, they've been dicking us over and be like, forget the fans, forget what they want, canceling games that we really wanted to play. And it's like, not Konami, Capcom went through that for a while. Before they got their head out of that dark space, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And actually started doing what they needed to do. That there was a long stretch where they were just canceling games. They canceled 4 Mega Man games because Mega Man was dead for years. Like they canceled 4 of those, and then they kept canceling a whole bunch of other games, but they kept giving us new costumes for Street Fighter 4, the 25th edition.
Right.
And then what they were doing with the Resident Evil series, because I never missed a chance to take a shot at it. When they gave us Resident Evil 5 and 6, it was not what the fans wanted. And no. I don't want to hear that crap again. Like I swear, Kelsey, I hear it all the time, even in other streams. It's fun if you play with other people. It's fun when you play with other people. That's the only thing people can come up with.
It would be fun if it was a Resident Evil game. Outbreak was fun because it was Resident Evil with other people.
Yes.
Like, Outbreak was fun because of that, but I just have, like, no interest in playing that. I have no interest in 5.
But it wasn't until Revelations when they finally started to go back to what the fans wanted them to do. That was my whole point. And Konami didn't even make the attempt, because that last Metal Gear game that they came out with, Metal Gear Survive, was absolute trash. And they knew it was trash, man. And they put that out to Hideo Kojima when he left the company, and they put that shit out there. And I'm like, what is that? Like, this is a company that does not care about its fan base, man.
Not at all.
We know better, and you're just gonna take it and see where that got them. Like, nobody even mentions, when was the last time somebody mentioned Konami when it comes to, like, the top video game companies?
Long time.
Nobody mentioned that, John. You usually when you hear Konami, it's like, yeah, Konami 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Used to be king, and now it's Konami.
Trash. But anyways, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there.
Oh, that's okay. We got through the tier list.
So you got all of them? Did you ever play any of the spin-off ones?
No, I really want to play the Game Boy ones. Like they're just like novels, like play novels and stuff, I think.
Game Boy ones?
But
You mean like Resident Evil Gaiden, like that type of style?
kinda. I haven't actually checked them out that much. I just know they're like Japanese releases usually, and I think they are like play novels and stuff.
Got you. I mean, look,
But
I give the Game Boy stuff a break because there's no way that, Game Boys graphically can match console games. It's just, and that doesn't mean that it can't be good because there's some great Game Boy games out there. But I really enjoyed that tier list, though. I really enjoyed that.
well, thank you.
That's good. I mean, I learned a lot about the other Resident Evil. Get it off your mind, Kennedy. Silent Hill games. Silent
You
Hill
just
game.
default back.
Yeah, it just always goes back to Resident Evil, man. And for those of y'all who don't know, we'll be doing this every other 2 weeks. So there's gonna be two shows in a month. For now. And to see how good this goes. And I really look forward to this. This was a lot of fun. But you guys have a great day. I'm gonna get on out of here because, as I always say, which is my favorite phrase in the entire world, I'm hungry. Later.
I will see you Tuesday. Goodbye.
Later.